What's the worst double standard? Employers expecting loyalty from employees while provided none in return. Sorry, buddy, loyalty is a two-way street. If you can terminate my employment at a moment's notice, then I reserve the right to leave when I want to. My boss has brought me into his office repeatedly to tell me I don't do enough work and that we are all swamped right now. My department is short-staffed. Yet he has no issues sitting at his desk watching movies all day long. Yet if I sit for 5 minutes to shoot off an email, I am wasting my time. Mark Zuckerberg insisting FB users don't care about privacy but spending huge sums for his. Same for most media giants. When I was a kid, if I left my toys out and one of my parents stepped on them, I got yelled at and in trouble for not putting my toys away. On the other hand, when my dad left his tools out and I stepped on one, I got yelled at for not watching where I was stepping. If you take maternity leave, your job position is protected and your medical insurance still covers you. You can also use any campus facility at my previous university as you are still considered a student, and your scholarships can be put on hold. NSERC even pays a stipend. Get cancer and need to take some time off? Well, job's not held. Your insurance refuses to cover you as you aren't working. You'll also lose your scholarships, and being on a medical leave of absence means you can't use any uni's facility without paying a premium. When you get your ass chewed for dumb little stuff, but the person you hate gets away with legitimately worse stuff. Colleges that teach ethics while ripping the students off in every way possible. Parents can disrespect their children at every turn and insult them. But when the child stands up for themselves and insults back, they're reprimanded for being ungrateful and disrespectful. If you want your fucking kids to respect you, offer them the same courtesy. You brought them into this world. They didn't ask to be born and they shouldn't suffer from your own shortcomings. If you're rich or from a rich family and commit a crime, it's not a big deal. So let me get this straight. I can be ruthlessly bullied and harassed for weeks on end, treated like a piece of garbage by a cockwad, but when I fight back, I get detention? Fuck you. You can carry 2 single-edged knives, but a single double-edged knife is automatically illegal. Respect your elders, meanwhile completely disrespect anyone who is younger by age. I used to work nights by choice, which meant that occasionally I'd knock off work and decide to have a glass of wine before bed. For me, that was about 8 in the morning, when my housemates at the time were getting up to go to their 9-to-5s. The reaction from people was insane. For me, it seemed way weirder to sleep during the day, wake up in the late afternoon, then get dressed and go out for dinner and drinks with them, which basically meant that I was having wine for breakfast. But from their perspective, that made perfect sense. Night work is weird. Credit scores are a fucking joke. Not having a credit card or lowering the limit on a credit card to be sensible affects your score negatively, and it suggested I take a higher limit and not use it. When your ex freaks the fuck out because you started dating someone new, while they're in a relationship as well. Bonus points for when their relationship is 6+ months old. Some people love to be possessive assholes. The worst double standard in my life right now, I concede this will not be the case for most people, is that people feel it's entirely acceptable to ask us when we are going to have kids, but it's not acceptable for us to be open about the fact we are trying to conceive. There's a political one that annoys me, posting a picture of a political cartoon that pokes fun at the other side and chuckling. Then screaming at Somone doing the same thing at the expense of your side. If you post a picture making fun of another political party or insulting that party's voters or politicians, then you are tacitly accepting that the reverse is okay. When I, Assad, get asked if I'm babysitting when I take the kids on errands, or to apps. Or I am asked if I'm giving mom the day off. Colleges that encourage, rely on students to self-teach everything. If you take a break at work but you are not a smoker. My boyfriend does this thing that drives me endlessly crazy. He has sound-canceling headphones he wears all the time, which means he can never hear me when I'm trying to talk to him. Sometimes he puts his headphones back on before I'm done talking to him. But when I'm distracted or have headphones or what have you and I can't hear him, it's suddenly a problem. Edit. I appreciate the concern from the replies, but I feel as though there was a miscommunication on my part. All I meant was that he gets annoyed when he tries to talk to me and I can't hear him, but doesn't understand why I get annoyed when the tables are turned. It's not a big thing. In my country, someone faked a degree and worked properly in this job for multiple years. As he was busted, he got the same sentence as someone who killed a person in a car race. Like WTF. Anyone who says, "Do as I say, not as I do," that my employer expects me to flawlessly come into work on time every day with no excuses allowed. Yet our paychecks being late are met with rationalizations and excuses from the payroll department. Pretty much anything that comes out of a politician's mouth, ass these days, to be honest. Pay your rent on the 1st. Absolutely no later than the 5th, or there will be late fees. Check account on the 6th of the month, after sending the check a week before? Same balance. Check on the 7th, or 8th, etc. Same balance. Those fuckers aren't depositing the rent check. But I can't pay you past the 5th? Why? Fuck your late fees. I should get credit for you not depositing the money. Why demand it by a specific date if you're just going to sit on it? Landlords are stupid. Teaching acceptance, but not accepting those who don't conform with your doctrine. Burning a body. Do it at a crematorium and you're being respectful, but the moment you do it at home you're destroying evidence. Men can't be raped. Bullshit. At our job, men have to wear long-sleeved shirts, long pants, and closed shoes in the office no matter the weather. If it's 40°C, you might get away with wearing those 3/4 length chino shorts, and a short-sleeve business shirt, but you'll still get a few side eyes. But women can dress like they just walked in from the beach. Short skirts, crop tops, sundresses, open-toed sandals, pretty much anything goes. They look cool and fresh in summer, while us poor men are all sweating and flustered in the heat. The Catholic Church's continued covering up of its pedophile priests. Anyone who was raised Catholic will know that the most basic teaching in Catholicism is that Jesus died so that our sins can be forgiven as long as we admit to them and ask for forgiveness. So basically, if you do something wrong, admit it, and you'll be forgiven. Well, the church expects its adherents to follow this basic idea, but when it was time for the church to admit its sins, it just covered them up. It's the most ridiculous double standard and the main reason why I left the church. Politicians. Everything about them is a double standard. Ban guns. Except for me and my bodyguard's walls are bad. Let's tear them down. Except for the wall surrounding my $1 million lakefront house with private security. That wall stays up. Let's change our nation's healthcare. But we will make an exception for Congress cause we like our healthcare. We need to be more green. Stop buying SUVs and boats. Except for me. Cause I need a private jet, yacht, armored Cadillac with V8 engine, and 3 houses. Fuck all politicians. Countries that pay billions in aid for others, while their own people are starving. By far not the worst, but if in public you see a woman slap a man hard in the face, HW probably deserved it, right? But a man slaps a woman, he's a horrible abuser and should be punished. Person 1 yells at person 2, then gets offended if person 2 yells back at them. Child custody for women versus men. I worked as a teacher at a high school. 2 girls and a boy chose to have a threesome, film it, and of course it leaked out. The 2 girls were absolutely annihilated, called all the names under the sun, basically made social pariahs, and were basically forced to leave the school. The boy returned to school an absolute legend. His social ranking went up. Wearing bra and panties to a beach is taboo, but wear a bikini and no one bats an eye. Literally how people now don't think you can be sexist to men, and don't think you can be racist to white people. Open hatred towards whites. Hatred has no place, but it's openly acceptable if you target certain races. It's okay when women hit men. If a woman, girl gets raped, she is rightfully labeled a victim. If a man, boy is raped, it is wrongfully labeled seduction, consensual sex. Tie 4, black people can't be racist, and women can't be sexist. Sober women can have sex with drunk men and it's perfectly fine, but men get called rapists for having sex with drunk women. Poor and working class people get shit on for buying a $3 coffee drink, but rich people will spend thousands on a single bottle of wine and get praised for their refined palate. From many of the stories I have read here, I'd say that if a bullied kid fights back, the bullied kid is the one who gets punished by the school. This isn't the worst, but it's extremely pervasive and I never see it talked about. Dogs and cats. If someone meets a cat that's antisocial, hisses at people, growls, scratches, and bites, they decide, that's a shitty cat, and I hate cats. If someone meets a dog that's antisocial, barks, and misbehaves, they think, that dog has a shitty owner. The person should really have trained it better. I have met loads of people who hate cats and love dogs with this exact bias. Either it's the owner's fault or the animal's fault. Pick one. Fathers lose most child custody cases. Fat versus skinny shaming. Wealthy versus poor criminals. You're a bad person if you don't tip, but there's no outrage against the employer who refuses to pay the waiter a fair wage. Employers wanting hardworking and loyal employees while also paying low wages and being stingy with raises. The world is full of bullshit. That people won't hire you if you don't have experience, but how do you get experience if no one hires you? Women being creepy to children. If a man walked up and said, she is so cute. She is going to get all the girls, boys. Look at those little toes, he would go to jail. But it's perfectly okay for women? Calling people of color immigrants and white people expats. I feel like this is so racist. Men can rape but women can't. Getting shamed for wanting to have lots of sex as a woman, but as a man it's expected. The court system biases about male and female, mostly about mothers and fathers. Father could be hard-working and the mother could be an abusive drug addict, and the court will still think the children shouldn't be taken away from the mother. But if it was the other way around, the courts would try to break the limit. Republicans in the 1990s. OMG. Bill Clinton cheated on his wife. He's not fit to be president. We need the president to embrace family values and morality. Republicans 5 years ago. So Trump cheated on all of his wives? So what? Oh, he cheated on each wife with his subsequent wife, and on his current wife with a porn star? I don't understand what you're getting at here. That women are subjected to ridicule by society and men have it so good when both women and men have it rough for many different reasons. Breaks during work. Acceptable for smokers, questionable for non. The other day at work, I was looking in the general direction of two girls. I should also mention that I was walking towards them to pass them. Now they start talking shit about how all the hella ugly guys are looking at them all the time. I guess me looking in their direction wouldn't be creepy to them if I was good looking? Keep in mind these girls aren't very pretty themselves, lol. Small businesses. Expected to stay closed even after the COVID vaccine becomes available unless they work from home or are essential travel. Can remain open even for non-essential workers and leisure, even when the COVID vaccine isn't available. A black man can stand up on a stage and make fun of white people for 90 minutes and everyone laughs. But the second a white guy says a single joke about black people on stage, he's racist and he hates black people. Feminists, anti-racists, etc. That aggressively stereotype and generalize everyone, but will cry bloody murder if their own pet group is stereotyped. If you think it is fine to say, men are horrible, or, men are trash, but then get all up in arms when someone says, women are deceitful, or, women are hysterical, then that is a double standard which is very annoying. It seems this is accelerating too, with certain groups being 100% fair game for attacks while we protect other sacred cows. I mean, the AP now writes whites with a lowercase w and blacks with an uppercase B, and part of their justification is that white people are bad so they deserve it. The other part of their justification is that white people know their history while black people don't. How many white people are mutts that have no clear idea of their history or ancestry? It isn't like bloodlines were reserved from the old country and Scottish people are 100% Scottish now. Or that all families kept records and everyone knows. Anyone could get on 23andMe and see what their DNA is, so it is such a silly argument. I have a male friend who used to be a math teacher for 6th graders. The amount of parents that complained to the principal about how they didn't feel safe with their kids being near him was absurd. Women being raped is horrific, but men being raped is treated as a joke. Demanding that size 0 models be not allowed to model on runways or be put on covers of magazines, because they are not healthy role models, but letting Tess Holliday be on the cover of Cosmopolitan and letting her walk in major fashion shows. Anorexia and obesity are both terribly unhealthy. Pop artists like Halsey singing about their cheating ex-boyfriends whilst simultaneously promoting said song and cheating on their boyfriend. Teacher here, moms, including single moms, get criticized for things like not varying their children's lunch enough, or occasionally being late dropping their kids off at school, children having messy hair or crumply clothes, or, I dunno, stupid stuff. Dads, especially single dads, get praised for the dumbest things. Kid comes to school with 2 lopsided pigtails, oh my god. He tried so hard to do her hair. He comes to a school event, oh my god. He's so involved. I literally saw this happen with the same children. When the parents were together, and the mom was the main caregiver, it was, why are their clothes so messy? Does she even brush their hair? She forgot to send a snack for the field trip. What was she thinking? When they split up, the kids ended up with the dad, which was the right decision, in my opinion, while custody was being decided. Not exactly sure how that happened. I know it's not usual. But after seeing him be a single dad for literally 2 weeks, one of my coworkers, one of the same ones who lobbed all those criticisms at the children's mom, took it upon herself to write a letter to family court, extolling the dad's parenting virtues, which was literally stuff like, he tries his best to make sure they get to school on time, and, he is learning how to do his daughter's hair, and, he makes sure they come to school with a change of clothes in case they have an accident. Don't get me wrong, those are all good things. But also, those are all things these kids' mom was doing as well. But they didn't get noticed, 'cause she's a mom and those things are expected. When a dad does them for the exact same children, it's somehow worthy of writing a letter to family court 'cause it's so exceptional. It isn't the worst double standard, far from it, but it's annoying. It's about the workers who start early, and leave early, versus the workers who start late, and leave late. Let's say I start to work at the office at 6 a.m. while my coworker starts at 8 a.m. If I leave at 2 p.m. and he leaves at 4 p.m., we would have accomplished about the same amount of work. For some reason, I'd be the one who's tagged as lazy because I leave the job earlier. It didn't happen to me, but I witnessed it a few times during my career. Wage theft is larger than all other forms of theft combined, but is not considered a crime. If you steal $100 from the register, you will go to jail, be branded a felon and, potentially, lose your voting rights. If your boss leaves $100 out of your paycheck, you can maybe recoup some portion of that after a protracted civil case at significant personal cost. Companies will fire you without notice but expect a 2-week notice when the employee resigns. Thanks for watching. See you later.